Let's talk about moonshine today. You ready? We always like to have our first still next to us because, you know, it's our first still. We're going to talk about making moonshine today. Some of the processes of why they did moonshine, things like that. We all know it's because they didn't want to pay taxes. It was illegal to make alcohol or actually sell it. So the feds were cracking down, 1920s, prohibition. But we're going to make a sugar mash today. But I was going to tell everybody or talk to everybody about, you know, some of the certain things that they did in moonshine. You know, through that process, they invented a thumper box, which was able to give them double distillation with running the fire only one time, so it was less chance of getting caught. One reason they call it moonshine is because they would do it under the light of the moon, so they wouldn't have to use candles or light campfires to see. This, you know, moon's bright enough in the dark that they could see a little better while they were distilling and things like that. So there's a whole bunch of legendary tales, things like that throughout the United States history about moonshining. We're gonna make a basic sugar mash. We're gonna add a little bit of corn to it just for some flavor, and then we're gonna show you how to distill it. So the first thing we'll do is we'll make the mash today. We'll wait a week. We'll start to film again, and then we'll distill it with you guys so you guys see the process. We're just gonna do a little 5-gallon batch here in the small ounce bag still that we have. All right, here we are. We're back. We've got our ingredients here. We kind of set up. Got some hot water, sugar, a little bit of pocket lint, some corn, and fish tank heater. Real simple at home. You can take this, get a 5-gallon bucket, any 5-gallon bucket, go to Lowe's. They have white ones that are food safe, whatever. You're going to distill it anyway, so I wouldn't, you know, worry about too much. The warm water is just to dissolve this sugar, and then we're just going to put the corn in there to give it a little flavor as it ferments. Not going to cook the corn. You can cook the corn if you want pre-hand, add the sugar, add the yeast. We're just not going to do that. This is a very simple, straight to the point sugar mash to distill, have some alcohol at home. Now, we're going to just take this sugar, we're going to dump it in here, we're going to stir it around. All we're going to do is dissolve all that sugar. Get all that sugar dissolved. Thanks, Israel. We just stir it around. Nice and dissolved. Just going to pour this in here while it's warm still. That's going to lower the temperature. We start out as 115 degrees. We got this laser thermometer here. Check the temperatures here. See, now we're at 102. So we can probably let that dissolve. When it's done dissolving, we'll add the yeast. So all we're doing is making a sugar water. That's all we do when we do the you know, normal mash, making beer. You're going to get the enzyme from the malted grains to convert the starches into sugar. We're just bypassing all starches in the sugar. We're just using sugar and water. Reason why we have the fish tank heater, because it's a little cold in here. It's supposedly wintertime here in California, but it's colder than usual, and we don't want the yeast to get too cold because then they'll stop fermenting. So I just set this for about 75 degrees on this little thing. Probably pick these up at a pet store for, I don't know, 40, 50 bucks. So 1 liter. This holds 1 liter. Right here. Get a better reading this way anyways, you know. You can see it. All right. Yeah, it's a good float. 1.095, I'd say. Almost 1.1. It's pretty good. About 13% alcohol by volume we should get out of this batch at the end. We get these little hydrometers. I think I get this one at Brewhouse. Yeah, Brewhouse. Dual scale hydrometer. We're going to just distill what we can get. You don't have to have one of these. Just put a lot of sugar in. I do 2 to 2.5 pounds per gallon of water, of sugar. And that's going to give you a nice amount of sugar so you can ferment it. And then when we distill, it's going to taste good. What we'll also do sometimes here at J. Riley's, we'll put during the fermentation process, we'll throw some peaches on top while it's fermenting. It gives a little peach flavor. But the corn's in there, the sugar's in there. I think it's warm enough to add the yeast. So it's not 3 grams of yeast we're going to put in there. You should put about 3 grams of yeast per gallon of water, which isn't very much. But I like to, on these little batches here, just sprinkle around, kind of coat the top. If you want to get a look at that, Israel, go ahead and take a look at that. Just get the top coated like that. Should be good enough for fermentation process. And those will take over on their own. We use if you want, you can use an airlock. We don't use one. We open ferment, but we cut a hole in this particular lid just so we could get that forget what it's called, fish tank heater in there, and then we'll just plug it in over here and let it sit for a week. It's just going to do its thing. And what we'll do is we'll write down on here what the specific gravity was, which was 1.095, and then we know we can check that in the end. You can check the gravity again, and we'll show that process when we're done fermenting, and then you know exactly how much alcohol. We can do the math for that and show you that. So yeah, that's about it for today. We'll plug this in. We'll be back in a week to distill it. Can you hear me? Check 1 2, check 1 2. No, don't stroke it. Talk into it.
Well, Cinnamon's looking at me.
Just say it. Just talk like you're just.
Cinnamon's looking at me.
Stop touching it. Stop. Israel. Just talk.